Alrighty, gang, for the people watching at home, I forgot to start the recorder. So I'll tell you what we're doing. We're writing a program that lets a user pick a car and some options. And they're pretty awesome cars. What we're going to let them do is we're going to let them pick whether they want a Corvette, a Citation, or an El Camino. We're going to ask if they want power steering. Seems like I left a word off there. And if they want a cassette radio, cassette stereo, I guess I changed its mind later. And then we're going to add up the total cost of the order. Corvettes cost $10,000, Citation $7,000, Caminos $5,000. Power steering costs $1,000 extra, and cassette stereo, I don't know when I changed that, costs $200 extra. So then we created a flow chart for that. Go look in the notes for the flow chart. Basically, we're inputting the type, we're inputting whether they want power steering, we're inputting whether they want cassette, and then we had this cute little circle telling us that we're going to the next column. Since we have that circle, we don't really need that curved dash line. And then we set our total equal to 0, and we start calculating the price. If it's a Corvette, we add the price of the Corvette to it. If it's a Citation, we add the cost of the Citation to it, and so on. And then finally, we added the cost of the options. If they had power steering, we add the cost of that. If they have a cassette player, we add the cost of that. And then finally, we print the total. So, our code, you better pause often, so if you're wanting to type this in, you can. We had some declarations at the top for the cost and of the Corvette, the Citation, and the Camino. Then we had two more constants. The cost of the power steering and the cassette stereo. Like I said, you better pause if you want to type this in because I'm not giving you time. Then we asked the user to pick a car type. Do they want a Corvette, a Citation, or a Camino? /T means tab, by the way. And then we asked them for input. We put this inside the input. We put that as an argument to the input function just to make our output look prettier. Show you what I mean. See, we displayed a question. We see these nice /tabs, and then it tells us where we're going to type with that little angle brace. I may do that more often. I kind of like the way it looks. And then we ask the user what options they want. They want power steering. Do they want cassette stereo? And now you're caught up. All right, so we need to calculate the cost now. Calculate total cost. And whenever you're calculating a total, you probably need to create a variable and set it to 0 to begin with. Right? Like if you're calculating the sum of all the numbers between 1 and 100, you have to have, a variable to hold that sum. All right, let's do that. Total equals 0. Now we're going to have some if statements. If type equals quote A equals, and by the way, take note that we did not convert our input to a float because we're asking for, I could have done it. I could have done a float there, right? I could have changed it into a number. But I don't think we really need to in this case because we're not going to use it for math. So if the type of the car is a 1, type equals 1, then we need to add the cost of the Camaro to it. Total plus equals, I'm calling it a Camaro now. I should have used that instead of, Camino. Cost of Corvette, 1V, 2 T's. The flowchart doesn't show using else-ifs, but we could. That'd be the way, if we were going to do this in real life as a professional programmer, we would use elif. And if you felt like changing your program to use elifs, you could. I'll show you where when we're done, although it's pretty obvious. And then if the type is equal to quote 2, the reason I'm putting quotes around these is because they are strings, because we did not use the float function to turn them into a number like we would if we were doing math. And so this was the cost of the citation. Cost plus equals, total plus equals cost underscore citation. And then lastly, we had one more type. If type equals quote 3 end quote, total plus equals cost underscore Camino. And just for debugging purposes, without even adding the rest of the code, let's just print the total at this point. Print total equals, end quote, comma, total. You know, it's a bit premature. We're not done. But, you know, it'd be nice to run it and make sure we don't have any errors at this point. There we go. Corvette citation El Camino. I'm going to pick a El Camino. I want power steering. It doesn't matter. I don't have that implemented yet. And our cost is $5,000, which is what I think we said here. Yep. Alrighty. I'm going to be making my changes above that print statement, right? Because we don't really want to print the total. Although we could, right? We could print out the total where we are right now, and then we could print out the price of the options, and then we could print out the total price. I'm not going to make it that complicated. So push that down. Now we're going to check the options. We had two options, one called P-Steer for power steering, and we had one called cassette. So if, oh, and by the way, apparently type is a very bad word to use because it showed up in purple. That probably means that I don't even know how this program is working. But let's do a search and replace. It's bugging me that that's purple. That means that it's a function name. So do this. Control H or Command H. Find every instance of the word type, T-Y-P-E, and replace it with the word car. Seems like a good variable name to me, you know, if car is equal to a Corvette. And then just click Replace All.
You said Command H?
Mac users Command H, PC users Control H. And now we see that it worked. Car, or I could have made it car underscore type, something like that. Sometimes you can choose bad variable names and then use search and replace to fix it. Yes, sir.
There's a spot in one of the comments where you use the word type.
Yeah, yeah.
Different way. It's going to say car now. Display where they will car.
Yeah, ask the user to pick a car. Good point. Fix those two statements. Scroll up to the top and make it say ask user to pick a car. Thank you for catching that. That looked pretty absurd. And then print what car do you wish to buy. All right, I'm going to make sure that that didn't break the code, so I'm going to run it again. Sometimes when you do a search and replace, you get unexpected, like invalid syntax. I have broken my code. I don't spot where it was. Okay, down here. Oh, that's because I was starting something before I realized I wanted to rename the variable. Now I'm going to comment that. I'm going to delete that and run it. Really want to see it work now that we've done the search and replace. Okay, it seems to work. Search and replace can do stupid things like, right, if I had a variable called cargo cost, and then I did a search on car and changed it to something else, that wouldn't work. Sometimes you can choose whole word, and it might fix it.
Mine's not working.
All right, let me come look. I'll upload the code at the end, and so if you want to copy and paste.
Deleted?
Pardon?
I deleted the yes/no.
Oh, I know what's probably going on.
I put the wrong.
Are you using backslashes?
Yes. Wait. No, I was using /. So I think that if I just change it, it'll work. Does that make sense?
Did that do a miracle? can't believe that was, okay, yay. All right. Okay, now. So we're back down here. We're going to add the cost of our options. So if P steer equals quote, capital Y, end quote, colon, then total plus equals cost underscore power underscore steering. The joy of long variable names. And by the way, these would have worked great with else's or elifs. These would not, because they're not mutually exclusive. Just like we were typing, talking about your menu choice. It's okay to do one and only one of these three things, and doing elif ensures that that's the case. But you can have both power steering and cassette, so we would not want to use an else down here. So I'm comfortable with our decision of not using elifs anywhere, just to keep that going. So if cassette, C-A-S-S-E-T-T-E, equals quote Y, end quote, colon, then the total is equal to the cost of the cassette stereo. Total plus equals cost underscore cassette underscore stereo. And I said I was going to add everything above print total, and I put it down here at the bottom. Now, this isn't the world's greatest program. Why? Because we're not listing the costs, right? They don't know how much a Corvette is. They don't know how much a Citation is, and they don't know how much an El Camino is. We could fix that. Yes for power steering, yes for cassette stereo, and it's $6,200. Now, we didn't tell them the cost of any of these things. I'd kind of like to fix it so that it did, as we're getting close to the end of the class. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. But since I've defined these as constants, here's what I don't want to do. I don't want to say parentheses 10,000. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a colon there. Whoops. What I did is I scrolled back up to the what kind of car do you want to buy. And so I'm changing this to say Corvette, colon, end quote, and then we're going to put comma, cost Corvette, so that they know. It'd be even neater, if it had a dollar sign and we formatted it better, but this is going to do the trick. And then do the same thing for the cost of the Citation and the Camino. So T2 is equal to Citation, colon, keep that end quote, add a comma, and add cost Citation. I love copy paste for long variable names. You see why I did that though, because if I just typed the number in there, but then later on I decided a Corvette's are 20,000, I'd have to remember to come down there. That would turn it back into a magic number, and I don't want that. And then El Camino, colon, comma, and do some copy paste to put the cost of the Camino down there. I bet hopefully doing that for the options will be just as easy. Yeah, I'm liking that. I think that looks pretty good.
I choose my options, and the total is only the price of the car, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's what mine's doing as well.
Yeah, it's not adding in
That's not adding the cost of power steering or the cassette.
Okay, let me come back there and look. So the problem we're having is that total only represents the cost of the car, not the option. So I'm going to go take a look. What has happened is I made a mistake in mine and then I corrected it, and not everybody saw me correct it. I didn't call it out well enough. Here's what's wrong, is that we're printing out the total before we add the options. That's not a bad idea. But if we were going to do that, we should also call out the price of the options separately and then finally print out the total.
Yeah, and mine worked when I switched it.
Yeah, so if you cut that and paste it, I'm feeling like echoing our output though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that print statement back there under this total plus equals cost Camino. We are increasing the complexity. But car cost colon total, and then later on we're going to print with options total, right? So we're going to add one more print statement to the bottom. Print parentheses quote with options colon end quote. I didn't need that space there. End quote, comma, total, parentheses. We're allowed to deviate from the flow chart, right? All right, so the car cost $10,000, and then with options it cost $11,200 when I bought a Corvette with all the fixins. Is that working for everybody? Here's the changes we made at the very end. So it looks like this is a working product. I'm not going to go back and modify the flow chart. So here's our homework assignment based on the same concept. But I'm going to change it a little bit. Create pseudocode in a flow chart that meets the requirements below. We're awesome. Why don't we go ahead and create Python for it? But I'm going to make pseudocode an option. If you don't want to get the Python going, create Python script parentheses or pseudocode. Right. You have that option for the following specifications. What are the specifications? We are a maker of custom rings and bracelets. The base cost we charge, $50 per ring and $200 per bracelet. If they ask for gold, it's $300 extra. If they ask for silver, it's $200 extra. If they ask for brass, it's $100 extra. I'm going to skip this step. Not asking the user for the number of rings and the number of bracelets. That's where I was going at the beginning, right? But I didn't do that. So we're going to ask the user what kind of item they want. Parentheses, ring or bracelet. And then we're going to calculate the total cost. And then we're going to display the total. So this homework became a little bit simplified, but that's okay. I don't mind that at this point. What we would have had to do is something like quantity underscore bracelets, right? Something like that. Does that make sense? That's pretty similar to our homework here. So I don't think it's going to be hard for you to draw a flow chart based on this and to write a program for it. And of course, I'm going to upload the flow chart. I'll paste it into the notes so that it's easy for y'all. Are we good with this? We have a long time to do it. I'm not going to make it due next week. I don't want you to have to work over spring break. So it'll be due 2 weeks. Right, the 26th. All righty. Dropbox M, let's make it.